It's time for an overdue Corsair update. Things are starting to get harder for this build, and the main reason for that is the monsters are getting higher resistances. Now, if you remember with the Slayer, from the hunting class, there's Study Prey, and that lowers resistances. That makes your damage much more effective. Now, Rogue and Defense don't have any ways of lowering resistance, so all that poison and bleeding I do isn't very effective. It's really starting to become noticeable. So let's take a look at where I'm going with the skill trees, and we'll go over some other things along the way. So in Rogue, I'm bringing up my basic calculated strike and lucky hit. I can still put some more points in there. I'm at +2 skills on the Rogue. Still just have the 1 point in anatomy, 1 point in open wound. I used blade honing for a little while. I tried some things out, and for some builds, blade honing makes a significant difference. Like if you're playing a brigand, this would probably be a huge difference, but with a few points in there, it wasn't even noticeable. I mean, I think I picked up maybe 50 DPS, so it really wasn't much. I took the points back. I have a couple points in disarm traps for the constructs, really, and I've been bringing up the poison tree. The base skill I'm at 11, and Mandrake is at 9. I can still go 3 more points here. It's a little bit disappointing, that nerf to the confusion. So I think it'll get to, when it's all maxed out, a 26% chance of confusion. In Immortal Throne, it was double. It was 52% chance. So if you hit a pack of mobs, half of them would walk away confused. So now you're lucky to get, 1 out of 4 will walk away confused. Multiple hits will sometimes turn them, though. But it's definitely noticeable compared to the way it used to be. Now, toxin distillation. This also works on my gas bomb, so that improved duration is nice. So instead of 3 seconds, it's going to go like 4.5 or 5 seconds, whatever. And I've been bringing the gas bomb up. The base skill I want to get up first or higher because it gives a bigger radius. I need it to hit more targets. And I'm slowly bringing along shrapnel for the bleeding and piercing. Over in defense, I've been working on the shield passives mostly. 9 points up in pulverize now, and 7 in both of the other ones. I'm at 6 points in armor handling. I should also mention I'm +3 in defense skills. I haven't really added to these batter or shield charge, because right now I'm using them more defensively and to carry poison. But you can get some good damage out of them if you put some more points in them, and eventually I will. I threw 1 point each in the adrenaline tree, just so it's active. I probably won't put any more in there. I'm just going to leave it. At some point I'll be +4 skills, and that'll be good enough for that. Rally. Got a few points throughout the tree. It's nice to have that heal, and you'll get a little extra damage. Or I'm sorry, you'll get a little extra resistance also while it's active. And I've been bringing up a battle awareness. Right now it gives me 130 defensive ability, and for legendary I want to try to get that maxed out. You can get some extra shield block here with focus and Iron Will. It's nice to have these resistances, but one thing that's kind of disappointing, you got all these resistances and there's no slow resistance, and you'll notice that coming up with these Cyclops that can slow you, and it's a very significant slow. It'd be nice to have a little slow resistance. So quick recovery, that's a nice skill. I'm at 6 of 8, and I still only have the 1 point in Colossus, and I'll put some more in there in legendary probably. Let's look at attribute points. I've still been putting 1/1 strength dexterity, and I kind of pulled ahead on dexterity right now, but depending on gear, I've been trying a lot of different things out. Sometimes I have more strength, like if I put in an alky. I believe I put 4 points into energy, because I also did some things like if I take this ring out, it's a big drop in my energy pool. So I was running some rings that didn't have the Hecate's Crescent, so I really needed more energy. But if I have a Hecate's Crescent in, then my energy's not bad. Alright, so I'm still using the Torment. It's not a bad weapon. It's got piercing damage on there, physical damage, attack speed. It's decent. There's a lot better that you can find, you know, come legendary. I've had really bad luck finding a tunic or a chest plate. So I found this Prowler's Curious not that long ago. And it has the 35% elemental resistance, and that's the main reason I'm wearing it right there for that. I switched over to a Shroud of Eternal Night, and I'm also not having any luck with shields. This is the only legendary shield I got, the leather skin. But I switched to this one, even though it has less damage. It has the 1 skills in defense and 2 to quick recovery. So I'm basically using it for that. I still have these warrior bracers that I got from Talus. Also the same Merc crawlers. I put in the Blessing of the Gods. I really needed more resistances, so there's some there. And also this ring disposition, again for the resistances, so that's really not adding to my damage at all. There's a vendor farmed hallowed helm, and I put my Erebus crystal that gave +1 to skills that I got from the end of normal. So now I'm +2 skills on that helm. And a Hail Seal of Adroitness. This is also a vendor farmed ring. It's nice. It has the dexterity on there, and I just put a Hecate's Crescent on it. So that's it. Let's make this run. I picked this spot here because there's a good variety of enemies, and you can kind of see what gives me trouble. And right away, it's going to be these undead are a problem. So I don't want them all, especially these casters. That's why I really tried to get my elemental damages up. These casters can really do a lot of damage with those staffs. I forgot if I turned, there we go, I didn't have my loot filter on. Oops. I don't want them all at once if I can help it too. Sometimes there's one in here that can cast Spellbreaker and take all your buffs off. So as long as I take it slow, it's not too bad. And these guys really aren't bad as long as you've got good vitality resistance. And that's probably something I should take a quick look at, where my resistances are. Alright, 80 on fire, 55 each on lightning and cold. 80 on poison, 80 on piercing. So those are all pretty good. 53 on vitality, and that's important coming up on Typhon. And only 5 on bleeding, and that cost me earlier in the game. You see this death over here? That was due to not having proper bleeding resistance. I was actually in the negatives when it happened. See those guys with that death chill aura? I want to get my... see right there, they just took all my buffs off. Skill disruption, I took the buffs off too. I want it, there we go. I want to get my shield charge going, and I can get up there and stun them. You know, you don't have to fight all these at once. Try to separate them a little bit, but I know they're not too bad. Too bad with the vitality, good vitality resistance. All right, so now comes the constructs. Whoops, my buffs still aren't on. All right, the constructs are easy for this class. They're not going to do much damage to you. Now we got Beastmen coming up. They're not too bad either because your poison and bleeding works pretty good against them. The problem is it doesn't really work hardly at all against bosses if you don't have a way to lower resistance. And I don't. Now there's some items maybe I can pick up later. And you see some of them wander off with the confusion from Mandrake. But I wish it was a little more consistent. like that trick too, where you just run in there, hit them, and it puts poison on, about 3 of them at a time, and then you can walk away and let the poison do a little work. See, there goes the confusion. It's really nice when it works. Alright, coming up on some Cyclops, and I really don't like getting a pack of these because they all slow you. They got that life reduction and the skill disruption. And even though I got decent skill reduction, disruption resistance, it's still, they can still be a problem with it. There it goes. See, I'm trying to get my gas bomb off, and I couldn't do it. Just wear him down little by little with this poison, and alright. Yeah, they're not affected as much by poison as some other things. And Typhon is really hard to hurt with poison and bleeding. He's not quite so bad on normal, but now on epic, it's a big difference. Okay, so Typhon's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a lot of health potions. And the thing you got to watch for is that energy leech, because if he drains all your energy, a lot of times your buffs will drop, and he can debuff your Colossus. If you can catch it and take your health potion in time, usually you can prevent that from happening. Energy potion, rather. I'm going to run right over here and take this and grab Colossus. He tried to get me with that. There's the spikes again. He's really going nuts with those meteors. See, I can stand with them pretty good. I mean, this build is fairly durable. It's just that the damage isn't very effective. There comes the spikes again. I'm going to also go over here and get this Shrine of Mastery. Oh, there goes the spikes. They're just about to throw a gas bomb at him. So it's a long fight, and the thing is, the longer the fight goes, the more likely you are to die, you know, if you get careless.
Hail.
Let's see if he dropped me anything. Jericho, it's a decent shield. Alright, I'm not even going to pick up that spear. So, I'm going to do this run again, but I'm going to grab some of my items I have in stash and just see, you know, what the potential is if you want to spend a little extra time farming gear. Okay, so, I grabbed some stuff out of my storage. And I believe all this stuff can drop on Epic. I'm not 100% sure. But I didn't want to grab anything that's like an Act 4 Legendary or something that you have no chance of getting during Epic playthrough. Alright, so this is what I got. I have Thoth's Shadow with the matching ring. So I get the 50% bleeding and vitality resistance on that. That's pretty nice. And Achilles Shield. Really high offensive and defensive ability. And what else did I... Oh, this weapon. Stymphalian Talon. A lot of bleeding damage. And some 25% pierce damage. Offensive ability. So that puts me at 1100 defensive, 800 offensive. So you should start seeing some critical hits now. Let's see what it's like twinked out. And you may, you know, if you do this build, you may want to do that. I mean, I know not everybody does all self-farmed builds. So if you got stuff in storage, grab it. It's going to make it a lot easier on this one. The Slayer really didn't have much trouble being a self-farmed. That was from that artifact there, Tyrant's Fist. Oh yeah, that's a 60 damage. So that's a flat 60 physical. So that should apply to the weapon. And I believe it's also going to apply to my shield attacks. So that's pretty nice. I mean, it's strictly, you know, for damage. There's nothing on there for, like, resistances or anything. But if you got that covered, and I pretty much have it covered, everything's pretty good. Piercing's not that high, but it's not too much of that here to worry about. Yeah, it just debuffed me again. Those have got to be the most annoying things, or things that debuff like that. So Typhon should go down probably in about half the time or less with this setup. So those things are nothing. What is my DPS at? 2482. Now you could probably double that, you know, with the right setup and good legendary drops. But for still an epic, that's pretty high. Holy crap. I just started using that, and I tried it out a little bit earlier, and I haven't really had it hit anything square like that, but wow. Thing's powerful when it actually hits something. I think there's a 2-minute recharge on it. See, I am slowed a little bit. All right, let's go get Typhon now. Make sure all my stuff's up. I'll do the same thing. I'll go over here. I want to wait till his thorns are gone. Wow. That was a lot faster than I expected.
Hail, mighty hero. I am Zeus.
There's a some defense skill on there. 2 to all skills in defense. I'll hang on to that. So the whole reason I did that there was just to show that this is a more gear dependent build than like the Slayer or some other classes. I mean, on paper it looks pretty good, but realistically you really need some good gear to make up for not having any way to reduce resistances and to really make your damage effective. Alright, so I probably won't do another update till sometime in Legendary. I don't know if it'll be Act 1 or Act 2, but somewhere around there I'll do something again. So, see you next time. Thanks for watching.